Being a stay-at-home mother is not anything like the trad wives make it seem like it is. There's not endless hours to make Fruit Loops on the countertop while our kids are somewhere cured by I don't know who. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nives and I'm a mom of two girls, and I recently left my job and my career to stay home and homeschool them. And so on my channel, that is what I talk about. I talk about the transition of going from working to stay-at-home mother, as well as everything it comes with, including homeschooling, of course, which is a big focus on my channel. And then also I touch on finding faith a bit later in life and that journey through faith that leads you to really beautiful things in life. This is me a few years ago at a work conference. I worked for 15 years as a communication professional when I decided to leave my field and my career and stay home to homeschool my children. So I wanted to talk about that transition of going from working mother, career-oriented woman to stay-at-home homeschooling mama. So in my 15 years of working as a communications professional, I've gained so many valuable skills and experience and have slowly climbed the corporate ladder. I would say that up until I had my children, work and my career was one of the strongest parts of my identity. And my positions were often demanding, requiring me to be available to answer media or emails or phone calls after hours, and be available sometimes on weekends or for after-hour work events. So I took that very seriously, and that was a big part of my identity, and it required a lot of my time. And then I had my first baby and I became a mother, and that changed everything for me. My priorities changed completely. And of course, my main priority was to care for her, to nurture her. She was my main priority. And with my priorities changing, a lot of my identity changed too. And I would say mother is a big, big part of my identity, and a beautiful one that has helped me grow so much into the woman I am today. And I'm one of those women who thinks that embracing motherhood is not a weakness. It's a very big strength because it comes with so much beauty. You can probably hear my children now. It comes with so much beauty. It comes with so much strength brought to your life. And you develop qualities, you develop as a human being unlike you've ever done before. Going back to work after my maternity leave with my firstborn was really, really difficult. I cried so much, and she was obviously very attached to me. She was over one, but I found it still very difficult. She was still a little baby. She was learning to walk well. She was learning to speak. She hadn't developed fully her communication skills. And I cried so much those first days. And I remember the advice I would get from well-meaning women. They would say, you know, it's often harder on you than it is on them, which I don't believe to be true. How can it not be so difficult for a little baby to be separated from their mom most of the day, nearly every day of the week? And being separated from her after spending a year being so close to her was excruciating for me, and I can only imagine it was for her. It just felt wrong in my body. I wanted to be the one who cares for her. I wanted to be the one who hears the first time she says a certain word. I wanted to be the one who hears when she starts singing a song. I wanted to see her running for the first time. I wanted to be there to witness these interactions she would have with her friends. And it just, all of it felt completely unnatural to me. It felt completely wrong to me, but it felt like the way to go because that is the path I have to take. I have to go back to work. I have to be a provider for my family just like my husband is. I just felt that pressure, mainly for myself because of my conditioning as a woman, to be quite fair, that we are completely equal in every sphere to our husbands, and that includes being a provider to our home financially, and that includes also being able to emancipate ourselves in a way from our children, which is very unnatural to nearly all of us. I know it's an adjustment for every single woman I spoke with, but every single woman I spoke with had already done that adjustment, so their advice was, you will get there, you will adjust. And we did adjust. We got used to it, so much so that it became easier for me to work than to tend to my child on the few hours I had after work with her or on the weekends. My full-time mother role was a little bit lost on me. It was much easier on me to sit, I was working from home at the time, to sit at home on my computer, working on a project, working on an email, working on a communications piece for my employer with a warm coffee in hand, being able to grab myself food when I wanted to, being able to go on lunch and have a walk. It was a much smoother, easier pace of life than having to constantly attend to my child. But that's what we are called to do as mothers. Motherhood is not meant to be easy. Just because things are easier doesn't mean that they're better for us or that they're the right decision. Most of the time, the hardest of decisions are the best decisions. And it was also the time when every little sniffle meant that I had to keep her at home. And if you know anything about kids, especially toddlers who are for the first time thrown into a daycare setting, is that they constantly have one thing or another. She wasn't like exceptionally sick, but she would be sniffly pretty often. And I remember at the time I would need to go get a test, a nose swab in a place. It was before they came out with the fast ones. I had to go to this center to get it and get her swabbed before she could return to her daycare, or I would have to wait 2 weeks before she could return. And so I had to take a lot of time off work right then and there to stay at home and care for her. And I remember I would have her at home and I would try to jump on Zoom meetings and do these phone calls with work, and I would try to get some stuff done in between caring for her and attending to her. And honestly, during those days, I was nor a good employee nor a good mother. I wanted to be everything and do everything, and I wanted to make sure I do it right in both spheres of my life, but I just couldn't. And so right then and there, I found myself spread thin, trying to be everything to everyone, but being nothing to anyone at the end of the day. Fast forward to a year or so later when my second daughter was born, and I had decided that I'm going to keep my firstborn in daycare because I want to guarantee her spot. Keep in mind, back in the day, we thought we were going to send her to school. I wanted to guarantee her spot because it was really, really, really difficult to get a spot at any daycares. The wait time is over a year, if not more, and I knew that if I pulled her out, I wouldn't be able to get a spot for her later. And remember, that was when I was really used to this life of being a working mother and someone else nurturing and caring for my child full time. So I had my newborn at home, and I decided to keep my daughter in daycare 2 days a week, and the rest of the time she would be at home with us, which I felt was a great balance. And then as my newborn started to grow, around 3 months, I decided that I'm going to pull her out entirely and she's going to stay at home with us. And I'm so happy I did that because it was the best decision we've ever done. It allowed us as a family to be under one roof. It allowed my oldest daughter to be cared for by me. Even though I was juggling a newborn and a toddler at the time, it was the best decision for her to be cared for by her mother, to grow up with her little sister. And it was especially the best decision because I realized that my calling was to care for my daughters. It wasn't to outsource their care to a center or a childcare professional, that I am that childcare professional. I am their mother. I am the best suited to care for my children, and any money, any career can wait. I felt that calling, but I still had the fear of becoming a single income family. I had the fear of becoming a stay-at-home mother. It was a huge identity shift, like I said, to even think of myself being a permanently stay-at-home mother. And so that was something that was weighing on my decision. I had the fear of leaving my career and not being able to reintegrate the workforce in the same capacity. And so I did think about going back to my work, even temporarily, to make some money and save, and then eventually leaving and staying at home with my kids. But I knew, and my husband and I discussed that if I was to go back, I would have never left. I would have stayed there, and I would have been sucked back into that comfort of being a working mother, because there is a comfort there. I've experienced it. But life is a curious thing. So a few things happened during that time. After a few phone calls at work, they've done some reorganization, and I realized just how replaceable I was at work. And with all of that, I had to reevaluate the importance I had given to certain things in life versus others, and prioritize what truly matters and concentrate on that. And what truly matters is being at home with my babies. I mentioned that I had realized that I was replaceable in the corporate world, but I had also realized that there is a place where I am not replaceable, and that place is my home. I am not replaceable as the mother to my children. I remember the first time I had met a stay-at-home mother who described herself as a stay-at-home mother. She used that as her title to me. Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mother. And I thought to myself, wow, what a confident woman. Because I feared that title. I feared becoming the stay-at-home mother. But in order to become the homeschooling mother, I needed to accept and welcome being a stay-at-home mother. We need to accept that title and wear it with pride, because it's honestly one of the hardest and most demanding, but also the most beautiful jobs in the whole wide world. Also, the most wisdom and the most peace I felt from any women were stay-at-home mothers who felt their calling was to tend to their homes, to take care of their children, to love their husbands. The women who accept their calling with calm and peace, and knowing that God will help them through it and will provide for them and their family. And I really love being with my children. I love being there when they wake up, not having to rush us to work or school or daycare, and just being able to lay down in bed with them and cuddle and read books and start our days slowly and easily. It is really, really a privilege, and it's such an honor to be able to stay at home with them and have this experience of motherhood with my babies. The most important thing we have is that relationship with our children. Is it a relationship of comfort and trust? Do our children feel safe in their home? Can they run to us with their problems? So yes, we are homeschooling mothers, but in our homeschooling journey and our life as a teacher, the main thing we are working on, and that we have the time to work on being at home, is that relationship with our children, that relationship of nurturing, of love, of care for them. And that's something that's constantly guiding me, and something that I constantly keep top of mind as a guiding principle to my discipline to them as a mother, and just my interactions with them as a mother. There's the old cliche, the days are long but the years are short. And it's a cliche because it is a true statement. The days can be long as a homeschooling mom and you're constantly around your kids, but also in those long days, there's so many learning opportunities to strengthen that relationship. Even when I feel so inadequate, or when I feel like I'm failing them as a mother, there's that opportunity for them to see me redeem myself, to see me apologize, to see me working on that connection with them. And I feel like we're constantly working on our connection. And connection is not just worked on in the beautiful moments. Connection is also worked on in those hard, in those very difficult, in those ugly moments where we fail as human beings, where we fail as mothers. And we need to give ourselves grace for that. And I think that's beautiful that they get to witness that and learn so much from it day in and day out. Being a stay-at-home mother is not anything like the trad wives make it seem like it is. There's not endless hours to make Fruit Loops on the countertop while our kids are somewhere cared by I don't know who. Our kids are always with us. They're always around, tugging on my dress, calling mama, mama. They're always there. So much so that I think one of them is listening to this right now. As stay-at-home mothers, we are at the center of our children's world. We are their guiding light. We are the most important thing they have. And so it's a big honor and responsibility to play that role. All right, I want to talk about the identity shift of going from working mother to stay-at-home mother. Truth be told, it is an identity shift going from the corporate world to your home. For so long, I had spent my life doing professional development courses, reading productivity hack types of books or blogs, and just trying to better myself as an employee and better the skills that I can bring to the company that I was working for at the time. So much so that I had forgotten Nives, who I am, what I like, what it is that my soul feeds off of. That was not at all considered at that time. And I used to love writing, and I always wrote from such a young age. I would write poetry, I would write prose, I would try to write books. And now these things are all coming back to me. The love of writing is coming back to me, talking about what I enjoy, what I love, being able to ponder on the deeper things in life and take the time to write about them as opposed to just turning on the TV because I'm so tired from a day at work. It's all shifting. Just this YouTube channel allows me to pour in some of my creativity, and I really enjoy doing this. Stepping away from work and being in my home, homeschooling my children, has built my relationship with God. Or I should say has given me a relationship with God, because I didn't have a relationship with God at all. I didn't even believe in God. And it allowed me to come to Him, because I realized that God, you don't just summon Him in your life. You go to God. He is always there. You have to be the one who makes those steps of going towards God. And being at home, out of the corporate world, out of the corporate race, has allowed me the peace to do that and to concentrate on that. And that has changed so much of my life. It has changed my perspective. It has changed my gratitude. I'm a very flawed human being, but now I understand that the grace of growth, the grace of redemption, of growing, of bettering myself, and of being better towards others. And that is only through God that you can find that and that you can grow in that way. Staying at home with my children is reigniting my curiosity in life. I always tell people that I feel like I'm gaining a second education with my children. There are so many things that I'm learning for the first time, even at the kindergarten level, that I have never learned, because that's not the type of things that the public school system concentrates on. I'm learning so much about the natural world, even plants that surround us that a few years ago I would have walked past, not taken a second glance at. I now know, or if I don't, I take the time to find out about them and understand them. And that is really beautiful. And that is because of my children, because they are like that. They are slow to walk and to absorb everything in. They want to take the time to know the world around them. And that type of philosophy is something that I find so inspiring, that I, as a mother, strive to be like them. And so I'm trying to slow down and take it all in. And by doing that, I'm learning so much with them. It allowed me to learn about different composers, about their music, about different art. It allowed me to love reading classics. And now I would rather open a book or write or do something creative once my kids are in bed, as opposed to turn on the TV and mindlessly watch it. Okay, let's talk about finances. Financially, we had prepared ourselves mentally to be a single income family. You don't have to be rich to homeschool, you just need to have your priorities straight. So you need to rethink your relationship with money, what kind of role money has in your life, where do you need that money, and where is that money going to come from? And you need to be willing to sacrifice a lot and to let go of the lifestyle that you were used to before. Your life will look very different from the life of your neighbors, and that's okay, because that's the choice you're making to have this time with your children. And when you make less money, you become thriftier, you become craftier, and you learn to better manage the money that you do have and not waste it all away. Groceries here are through the roof. It's honestly the biggest of our expenses, and we're always trying to find a way to bring our bills down. So we are becoming more crafty with meal planning, what kind of meals we make, what kind of things we buy to make those meals, shopping our cupboards. And I feel like it's given us a lot of empowerment to be able to do that. And a few years ago, we never did that. We never looked at how much money are we spending on food or what can we eat. We would just buy whatever it is we felt like eating. And we were very wasteful. And so having a single income has allowed us to be not just more creative with that money, but to view that money more valuably. In terms of the socializing aspect for myself, do I miss the social life of work? So my latest job was a work from home job, so I really don't. I was in front of a computer. My socialization involved talking to my computer screen with people on the other side of it. So no, I really don't. I socialize way more as a homeschooling mother. We are constantly out and about, so much so that I have to be intentional about scheduling that time at home together, and so we can attend to our home, so we can do our things at home. But yeah, I see so many other homeschooling mothers. We are out in the world. I have way more socialization as a stay-at-home mother now than I did working. And even if I take my previous job before that into account, that was a very, very social job. I prefer this type of socialization, a non-forced socialization that is in your own realm, that is with your children, it's family oriented. I really don't miss the amount of socialization I even had before then. So there you have it. I just wanted to share that experience of being a full-time working mother to transitioning to being a stay-at-home mother. I hope this was useful to some of you. I hope it was interesting and insightful. If you are thinking of leaving your job, maybe this video is a sign. But I will end by saying that staying at home to be with my children is by far the best career move I've ever done. Thank you so much again for being here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.